Hello there. So in today's video, we're gonna have a look at Alekhine's defense. Okay, it's the first time that I study theory about these openings, so it's gonna be very interesting for me and hopefully for you as well. Okay, so yeah, and as usual, after this, we're gonna solve some puzzles and then we're gonna finally play a Blitz game. So let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna watch this video. I'm gonna watch this video first. I like to watch them at double speed. I hope that's not a problem for you. Okay.
Begins a series on Alekhine's defense. The opening, of course, takes its name from world champion Alexander Alekhine, who first played it in 1921 against Steiner and later against Samish. However, many other great players, including Fischer and Carlsen and Aronian and Nakamura and Ivanchuk, have included it as a surprise weapon in their repertoire. Alekhine's begins e4, knight to f6. This provocative knight move attacks the undefended e4 pawn and encourages it to advance, gaining space and pushing the knight around. Still, that attempt to gain space comes with a responsibility to defend that space, and that can be quite challenging and can lead to some spectacular collapses from the white pieces. I recommend Alekhine's for a player who is looking for a dynamic, rich, and varied struggle and doesn't want to take on the study of a ton of opening theory as you have in many more popular openings today. So in this video, we're going to get into the modern variation, which is one of the best options available to white and one of the most popular options, and we'll see how we can handle that from black and get an entirely playable and interesting position, and we'll see some traps along the way. So e5, now pushing the knight away is played next. The knight needs to go to d5. Don't go for any of the other retreats, they're not good. After pawn d4, we get pawn d6, immediately challenging the e5 pawn. You definitely want to do this as soon as possible in basically every variation of the Alekhine's defense, and you're often going to get an exchange here that is going to suck away some of white's space advantage and also result in some loss of time for white, who's pushed the e pawn up the board. So the knight now comes to f3. This is the modern variation that this video is dedicated to. We should mention some alternatives to the most popular knight to f3. There is bishop c4, developing the bishop to chase the knight away. The knight can retreat with a gain of time and hit the bishop. The bishop pulls back. We can now take on e5. That's what we want to do as soon as we play d6. Now, white does have a trick not to be worse. Of course, if you took, then a trade of queens would be excellent for black. So we need queen h5, threatening almost mate here on f7. Pawn to e6 cuts off the bishop's attack of f7, and white has time to take the pawn back without allowing a trade of queens at this point. Still, this is a good position for black. You can provoke some weakness by threatening to trap this bishop over here on b3, a4, and now just try and play knight out to d7 and knight to c5 with an excellent position for black right out of the opening. So that neutralizes 4 bishop c4, an uncommon line, but you will get it from time to time. The other alternative that we want to mention here on move 4 is f4, and I get this a lot. So this is kind of like the 4 pawns attack, which we'll talk about later, light. It's not very good, and we can simply develop with bishop f5. Note that at this point, c4 is a big mistake because of the knight coming into b4 with big threats against c2. In general, white has the option to play c4 and push the knight away almost immediately when the knight puts itself onto d5. But if white delays c4 and then tries to go for c4 later, a lot of times knight b4, especially when the bishop is out on f5, will be a big problem and will be something that white doesn't have an adequate response to. So bishop f5 in this position, and after a developing move, we can trade pawns here, play e6, and we're honestly already doing very well, or at least equal as black in this position. c5 comes, knight c6 comes, we're chipping away at the center. Natural queen moves like queen b6, and then rook d8 are great, and we're going to put so much pressure on that white center. I really love playing these positions as black, and I get this a lot in Blitz. So I know that's a lot of arrows, but...
Well, this is actually very common, you know, when your opponent plays the Alekhine defense, one of the biggest problems that you tend to have is to, well, you gain space at first, right, by playing e5, d4, and in some cases c4 is also a move, right? But then it's very difficult in reality to try to defend that center, okay? So it's actually interesting opening, you know?
But you'll like this position, I promise. Backing up, we're back to the main line with 4 knight to f3 instead of bishop c4 and f4 as we just looked at. Now, we're going to take on e5. This is my recommended line. You can also play bishop g4 or g6. These are popular alternatives, but I'm not going to cover.
Okay, so definitely the option of knight f3 seems really logical, especially because you know how difficult. I imagine that you are experienced enough, right, to know how difficult it's going to be to defend your center if you overextend your pawns like a maniac, you know. So knight f3 is an option that I'll try to practice from now on.
For them here, I think that they're worse than trading on e5, and I think that they're dangerous as well. They're objectively suspicious, and they can lead to a lot of very concrete tactical trouble. If you are white, though, you should be ready to meet bishop g4 and g6, so even though it's not within the scope of this video, do some research on your own, check it out in the Opening Explorer, and be ready to tackle that if you're using this opening video to prepare for the white side. After the trade on e5, it is possible for the pawn to take, but this is neither a popular or very good option. Simply playing bishop g4, creating a pin on the knight is a good response, and the e5 pawn is much more likely to be a weakness than a strength. I think it's worth mentioning that you should not be afraid of pawn c4 because after the knight retreats, a trade of queens, even though it makes your king move over, is not really a problem. That trade is fine for black. You're entering an endgame where the e5 pawn's weakness is going to be a much bigger problem than the fact that your king had to move over to d8. That's going to be fine, and black can honestly be better there very easily. So instead, we get knight takes e5. Now, I want to talk about a famous story here that also leads us into the best theoretical move in this position. So after knight takes e5, there is the idea knight d7, trying to challenge this knight and create a trade, which would be great for black because white's lost a lot of time for this knight, so if it's just traded off, we're doing very well. This occurred in the game Tal versus Larsen. Mikhail Tal versus Mint Larsen, a world champion and one of the great Danes of all time.
I imagine that here this is a mistake because of knight takes f7 and then queen h5, right? I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I imagine that whenever your king gets exposed like this, and imagine that the only move that saves the knight is king e6.
In this position, Tal fought for a long time and famously rejected the sacrifice knight takes f7. After the king takes, queen h5 check forces the king to e6 because you got to defend the knight on e5, and then we can simply play g3 for white, and we are doing fantastically. This has been played in a lot of correspondence games, and it is a disaster for black. So back in the position here on move 5, After the knight takes, we are not ready to challenge the knight on e5 yet. Instead, a good move here is pawn to c6, which helps shore up our center and prepares knight to d7, challenging this knight. The pawn, in addition to giving our queen some scope, which is useful, in addition to supporting the center on d5, which is useful, also defends the d5 knight specifically so that knight d7 will no longer be dangerous, because after a potential queen h5 check, there will be no loose knight on d5 to defend, so sacrifices on f7 are covered. They're not something we have to worry about now, and we're preparing the knight to go to d7.
How many people would know that? That's a good thing. It's a good thing to know, right? So I can imagine quite easily seeing people playing knight d7 and blundering all of this, right? So, and then the correct move would be g3. Really good to know.
Point. White has a set of choices. White can move the bishop here to a number of squares, e2, d3, and c4. Those are basically the best options available to white. I want to mention before we look at those bishop moves, one alternative that's not really good and it's kind of an opening trap that white can fall into. There is pawn c4 chasing the knight away. And I mentioned earlier, a lot of times, if white doesn't play c4 right away and goes back to it around here, then the knight can actually be aggressive. We can hop into b4, and an opening trap I love is pawn e3, supernatural. We just attack the knight, and then black gets queen takes d4. A great move that hits the undefended knight on e5 and pockets a pawn. If the queen captures, of course, we have a royal fork here. The king moves, we pick up the queen on d4,
really good
we grab
to
the
know.
pawn, and we should be able to win this endgame with good play.
Yeah,
so,
you gotta
instead,
up.
white will avoid that, and after c6, develop this bishop.
Okay.
Now, there are a couple of choices, and I'm going to focus on the less effective ones first. If bishop c4, which is popular but not that effective because it stops c4 and it attacks a very secure knight here, I recommend immediately going knight to b7. Challenge this knight on e5. You can bring the knight over here in a lot of cases, and you can often gain b5 with an extra tempo. You're hitting the bishop and you play b5, and it's a good move to secure some extra space on the queen side and control the c4 square, making it hard to play the pawn on that square.
No.
The other bishop move that I want to mention here is bishop d3, and now I would change your plan a little bit. I like the move g6 here. g6 is a good move that gets ready to fianchetto this bishop. You do have a choice in a lot of these lines of whether or not you want to fianchetto the bishop or bring it out here. When the bishop is interfering with the queen's defensive d4, I think that pressure on this diagonal is more effective. So I recommend fianchettoing. Just bring in your bishop to g7, castle, and you get a very solid, reliable position as black. And there's not a lot of theory here, not a lot of games here. Nice, easy position to play. Finally, we do have bishop e2 from white, and this is the favorite move of grandmasters. It seems a little more passive than going to d3 or c4, but the bishop is neither in the way on e2, nor is it a target of tempos like the move pawn to b5 that can be on d3 and c4. So this is probably the best square, even though it looks modest. Most grandmasters do play this way. After bishop e2, the most natural move is just bishop to f5, bringing out the bishop before we try to play pawn to e6. We don't want to lock that bishop in on c8 if we can avoid it. So after bishop f5, there are two options. I'm going to mention the simple one first, and then we'll get to the complex one recommended by Gary Kasparov. If white just castles, you're in a good position. Go ahead and play knight d7, challenge knight on e5. Usually when you challenge that knight, it'll step back so that white's keeping more pieces on the board, but white does have a space advantage to massage. You can play pawn up to e6, c4 can kick the knight can pull back here. Again, there's not a lot of theory here, and I'm actually going to stop in this position because there's not too much theory, and I think natural moves will give you a very reasonable position. Go ahead and bring out the bishop, go ahead and castle, put your pieces behind the center of the board, like rooks to e8, d8, push some pawns, adapt to what white is doing, but your pieces can easily reach multiple squares, and you get some pawn breaks, and you're doing fine as black here. You shouldn't be too concerned in this position. The alternative that is much more theoretical is to play pawn to g4, hitting the bishop on f5, which now needs to move. As I just said, this move has been recommended by Gary Kasparov, though I think black has good responses at this point. After the pawn attacks the bishop, you need to step back. e6 seems to be the best square, and if white just leaves the pawn on g4, we've really made an overextension for white. We haven't done anything. This is a case where, having said A, you have to say B. You've pushed one pawn and opened up your kingside castling position, and now you need to push more pawns and try to really press black. Black does have to respond accurately, but we have the moves ready. After f4, we're going to try and kick the knight away on e5. If it retreats, we're doing quite well. So f5 is the best response for white, attacking the bishop on e6, and of course, you really can't let white capture here and stick a bone in your throat on this e6 square. That's too much by far. So the bishop retreats, and now the knight needs to retreat. I think this is the key move to have ready if you get in this variation. Now we play pawn to e5, a bid for space in the center of the board, breaking things open, and it really should be white's king that is in more trouble than black's in this position. There are not a lot of games here, but there are a few correspondence games, and black has done really, really well, and a deep analysis suggests that black actually has the better chances from this position. I don't want to go more down this road, but if anyone ever does play 7g4 against you, be ready to pull the bishop back, kick their knight around, and then play e5 at the right moment to gain space in the center of the board and make the game really about white's exposed king more than yours. Castle soon will be doing fantastically as black here, and meanwhile white is a long way from castling queenside and will not be happy in the center of the board or on the king side. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Please do tune into our future videos on other important variations in Alekhine's defense as we try to put together a repertoire that you can use in your games.
Very interesting stuff, to be honest. But I don't like the Alekhine's defense. It's like way too solid for my style. I'm more like a tactician type of player. So let's have a look at what we learned. Okay, so here taking. It's a good move. Okay, this is a good move, but Sands recommends developing what his favorite move. Okay, so here bishop f5, right? Okay, and that's a mistake we learned because you can play knight b4, right? Okay, so here we have how should black defend against the threat to d5. Okay, so here this seems very logical, and then after pawn takes, we have queen there, and now what was the move? Well, he's threatening mate, but I'm not supposed to play g6, so I think it's e6. Okay, and then after pawn takes, our plan is to remove that bishop from there, or creating weaknesses. Yeah, that was the concept, creating weaknesses. Yeah, okay, so what can white play to spark a strong attack? Okay. So yeah, that's what we check, right? I was thinking about this line by myself, right? So it seems devastating already. Okay, and here, how should black prevent mate on f7? So yeah, I think that here the move f6 is the best way for you to play.
Bruh.
Oh no, no, it's terrible. Why did I do that? Well, knight
Nope.
f6. No. Oh, bishop. Okay. I imagine that now your plan is like, okay. I imagine that now you wanna play a fianchet. I like this position actually. I like it. All right. So yeah, it's very similar to what I've been playing in the Dragon Sicilian. Okay. So white has tried the risky g4. Okay. So yeah, bishop e6, very important move, and then we play f6. Right. Then he goes there, and here. Okay. And now we played this. Okay. So that's the first lesson about the Alekhine's defense. It seems very interesting, very good ideas to know, especially when you play against this, you know, as white. I don't really like it as black. I don't have that much information. Maybe after we complete the course, we have a good repertoire and we could try it. Okay, but in the meantime, we're gonna stick to what we know for the Blitz game, for the upcoming Blitz game. Okay, so now let's try to solve some puzzles. Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna move my camera a little bit here. I think this is okay. Well, let's see. So white to play, right? Okay. So here, what do we do? Taking here seems. This one is a little bit better. Right, attacking the queen. Where can the queen go? Where can the queen go? Oh, so the queen has to move away from. He can't really go here, can he? Okay, so this is really straightforward, I imagine. And here? Oh, not so simple. Ah, but we are somewhat winning the bishop. I'm sorry, winning the knight. Okay, so I imagine that. Well, if I don't do anything, he's gonna take my bishop if I go knight b7, and that's not good. So what's the move? Interesting. It's not so simple to find it. Okay, maybe queen takes, d5, knight takes, and then which is take the b7 pawn, and we force king d7. Is that it? Is that enough though? That's the problem. I don't think that's enough. Oh, so when we play here, and then we go knight a5. Ah, and that would win the piece, definitely. Okay. Nice. Alright, so yeah, the key move now, well, after king d7, we go knight a5. That's completely winning for us. Okay, good. Alright, so pass rate, 55%. Yeah, that's what I wanted to correct, you know. I like to see the pass rate of the puzzles, you know. So I'm gonna place myself over here. Okay, good. So 55, not really difficult. Okay, so now we have this position. Well, it seems very complicated, to be honest. I'm thinking about knight here, threatening checkmate, right? And then after pawn takes, rook is not really possible because he can take. So that's not it. But what about check first? Right? Check first. And then he has to go somewhere. I imagine, well, g7, king g7, and then what's the follow-up? No, I don't see it clearly. How about rook g3 first, rook g3. But then he can simply take with the queen. No, that's not the move. Right, check first. And then check. He takes with the pawn. Yeah, I don't see it. I could take the rook though. But the knight is defending. This one seems a bit more difficult than I expected. Okay, what about knight knight g4. Knight g4 seems okay, because I'm threatening... Yeah, I'm threatening knight h6. How can you stop that? It's not so easy to stop it. You can take my rook though. I'm gonna go for this one. Okay, so yeah, it was that was the move. And now, we can play rook takes. We can actually play rook takes because we're forking the king and queen. Go for it. Okay, there we go. That was a difficult puzzle, was it? Yeah, 25 pass rate, 25% pass rate. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, let's try one more time, and then when I have a look at this final puzzle, and then we will play a Blitz game. Okay, so what do we have here? So knight takes e7, queen takes e7. There's nothing. Is there something? I don't think so. Maybe something different. Where could this? How about? Nah. This queen is misplaced, but I don't know how to exploit that. Well, not that much, because it is actually defending knight there. If I find a way to take that knight, yeah, but no, I don't see anything. This one looks very tough. Knight e5 doesn't do much either. Yeah. What can we do here? Wow, what a difficult puzzle. I don't see any weaknesses. The only thing that I'm trying to set is an Anastasia mate, but there is no way for you to do this. Maybe there is a situation at the back rank, but not really. Yeah, there is a back rank situation. Now there are actually two rooks. I have a back rank situation. I really don't know what to play. Rook c4 seems too slow. Oh, wait a minute. Rook c4, knight takes, and my... Yeah, no, it's not working. What about knight e5? Knight e5? Why would I play knight e5? It's to get knight e7? Okay, knight e5 is gotta be it.
Stupid!
No. Okay, so I got it completely wrong. What was the move? With the queen. Where should I go with the queen? This is crazy. I don't see a good move with the queen. Maybe... we force... Oh! A4. Wow, what a difficult concept. Wow. Oh my gosh. And that has a 54 pass rate. So yeah, one of my biggest problems as a chess player is that I'm very inconsistent. I see difficult combinations and I miss the very simple ones. Okay? Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's get started with a chess game now. Alright, so... hopefully we have a good game. Let's see. Alright. Okay, so I'm playing white. So we have e4 and the Petrov defense. Oh, I was just seeing this amazing line with d4. Not long ago, there was an interesting game about this. Okay, so let's see how it goes. He's gonna take with the pawn. He's gonna go. Okay, he knows the line. All right. Yeah, nothing to do. We're gonna just simply play this. Gonna try to do my best over here. Well, that it's a weak knight, to be honest. Yeah, he castle. Maybe I had a sacrifice. No, I didn't. Okay. Now we castle as well, right? Logical. Okay, so it's spinning my that's very annoying actually. I'm gonna play rook here. So yeah, my plan is to go knight here, and then knight here, or maybe knight here. No, maybe I should. I'm not really sure what to play. I'm out of theory already, to be honest. I'm out of theory. What is this move? What? I really don't understand. Ah, okay, so he's trying to set up this. That's very clever, actually, winning the queen. Okay, so I'm gonna play. I guess that I have to go here, right? I don't see any other move. I'm gonna play that. That was a very good trick, by the way. Did you see that? This is not really a hanging knight, because you can definitely simply go here, and that's a big problem. Okay, if he goes there, I think that I have to play defense here, or maybe I could simply go, which I don't really want to, but yeah, I think I have to go for this.
Bruh.
I'm playing g4, even though I don't want to do this. He is adding a lot of pressure to my position. And I missed that. Oh, I'm such a fucking idiot. Oh, this is not good for me. Wow. I went out of theory so quickly in this game. And now I'm paying the consequences, which are horrifying. Jesus. Okay, so now he goes there, which is also very disgusting move. Yeah, I'm definitely losing this game for now. I'm gonna try to defend, but even my defense here looks extremely difficult. You can actually go knight e4 and take the bishop here. Yeah, this looks horrifying. Could I survive this position? I don't think so. It looks completely losing. And I'm 2 pawns down. So yeah, many mistakes to check after the game. Yeah, g4, horrible idea. I was thinking about bishop e2, but it was way too passive. Yeah, but it's just that this knight was coming up at me really fast. Yeah, horrible. I was hoping that he would play something different, but I imagine d5 is actually the best response. Got bad influenced by a game that I was seeing not long ago. A Greek grandmaster play a perfect game, and that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, getting something similar. Okay, so he goes here, which is annoying, very annoying actually. In either case, I think I'm doing okay for now. I mean, he can repeat moves. Yeah, he can do that, but it's not that big of a problem if he repeats moves. I would take the draw 24 seconds. Okay, he's spending a lot of time though. That's a good thing. That might be very good for me. Like he's spending so much time. Is he? Yeah, he's calculating this, which is putting even more pressure in my position. Okay. So, what do we play here? Do we have a better thing than just playing? How about... yeah, I had to save my bishop. This is the only move. That's the only move. Okay. So how do you proceed here? It's not so simple for black to find the winning blow. Or maybe there isn't one. That's also a possibility. So he has committed to this. Okay, still in the game. And we are up on the clock. Okay. Alright, so he goes queen h4. What's the threat? Okay, so he's not threatening anything actually. Can I exchange some pieces? Nah. I'm gonna complete my development though. It seems that completing my development is the best plan of action so far. Yeah. So still trying to find the winning blow. Not so simple. Not so simple for now. I'm thinking about knight g3. But well, my knight here is really good. Okay, I saw that coming. Just gonna keep everything together with playing queen right here. Queen e2. Still defending. And how about ignoring this? Okay, I can simply take. And then I'm gonna go rook here. This seems good for me. He's misplaying this. He's actually misplaying this. We might have somewhat of a comeback. And he only has 20 seconds on the clock. Okay, this is looking good for us. I think I can survive 20 seconds. Yeah, he missed this move, which is actually... Oh, he will give me a check, though. Not so easy. Not so easy, actually. Alright. Can we just play here? Another threat? Yep. That seems rational. Okay, so he goes there. There's something that I should be concerned about? No, this is alright, I guess. Okay, so I can't take the fucking... I can play check though. It's not expecting this check. Alright. I'm gonna play here now, causing some problems. Okay, so if he goes there, I can play here, and I can play here as well. We are surviving. We're good. We are actually surviving. Well done. That was really good defense. Okay. Woo. All right. Let's see. Let's have a look at the game. Well, maybe we didn't deserve to survive that one. I imagine that I was completely losing at some point, but he didn't look at the accuracy. Oh my god, what a terrible game. That was so awful. Okay, let me move the camera. 58%. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, we were out of theory very early, you know. So after pawn takes d5 is something that I have never played before. Okay, but I haven't scored that bad against this line. Petrov's defense, I have won 27 games and I have lost 25, 2 draws, 50% you would say. Okay, not so bad, not so clean either. Okay, so yeah, pawn takes, that's the best move actually. And then we're already out of theory, you see? Well, this is move number 4. Okay, so it's obviously gonna be chaos if it is a Blitz game, right? We're not that great. And then after pawn takes, I'll be honest, this is actually better already. It looks better for well, not yet, but after castling, yeah, black is already better. I castled myself, I missed this one, but castling is actually the best move. And then, yeah, first inaccuracy, playing h3, but that's something that you do without thinking, honestly. Wow, he already has some tactics. For example, knight takes f2, it's a move? That's crazy. Oh, of course it's a move, right? Because if you take the pawn, right, rook takes, and again, bishop check, discovered attack. No, yeah, bishop here is winning the queen. So yeah, he was actually desperately trying to win my queen. Okay, so rook e1, another mistake. Knight f2 is again on the table. Right, so then I play knight d2. Okay, that was actually the best move. Yeah, you can't take that knight. Again, this is completely losing for black. I'm sorry, for white. Because of this terrible check. Alright, so after king takes, queen takes, and that's all she rolls. Alright, so I went knight d2. I imagine that, well, the more pieces I get out, the more difficult it would be for my opponent to beat me, right? So, and I wasn't completely wrong. Okay, so yeah, g4 was completely irresponsible from me. It's always a thing. Pushing your pawns after you castle is not a good idea. I need to remember this. It's a rookie mistake, actually. Here is actually, I'm just losing a pawn. Straight. No compensation. Completely a blunder. Okay? So yeah, I was thinking about bishop e2. But yeah, that would basically mean that, okay, you got the best of me in the opening. Right? That is basically what it means to play bishop e2. And from a human perspective, that's not so simple. Not so simple to assume. I'm sorry, to what's the word? To recognize, you know? It's not that one. That's not the word that I was thinking of. But yeah, anyways, let's continue. Okay, so g4, terrible blunder. And knight takes h3, of course. How the fuck did I not see that? Okay, so, and then he had a draw. Definitely. Well, I never thought of moving the king to h1. Okay, and then he takes his 2 pawns up, and my king is completely exposed. Okay, and then I think from this point forward, I played some decent moves. Okay, first one being knight e4. Now he gives a check, but now I just go with my king up, and then we have knight e5, forcing bishop e2, completely forcing. And then this is a mistake. I also thought that this was a mistake. The bishop, it's way better keeping the pin. And then, well, it's just that there is no pin. So how do you proceed? Well, look at that move. Knight g6. That's so difficult to spot. Okay, so yeah, and now the game has equalized a lot. Right? It was actually -3, -4, like in deep depth, right? And now it's simply -2. So we're doing good. Okay, queen h4. It looks very aggressive. It looks very nice. But no, you have to sacrifice the pony. Right? You have to sacrifice. I imagine that I wouldn't take that anyways. It looks so risky. Okay, so what is the line though? What if I take? I'm a brave person. Alright, so yeah, queen d7, king g2, and then knight h4. Okay, king g1, and I imagine now queen h3. Okay, knight g5, and then we have queen h2. Oh, this looks very scary. King f1. And I think we're good. How do you proceed? Not so simple. It's actually not so simple. It's -2, but anyway, I imagine a very complicated line that you will never spot playing Blitz. Remember, this is Blitz, okay? So our levels of accuracy will go drastically down, okay? It's Blitz, nothing crazy. Maybe a Grandmaster would find this line in a couple of seconds. I imagine Hikaru maybe. Okay, but yeah. Well, Hikaru will play something different. He wouldn't take the knight. Okay. Yeah, so here, now we are already a little bit better, which is crazy because we're 2 pawns down. So now the attack for black is extremely difficult. Okay, and here we have a problem. Yeah, I saw this move after, actually, so I was just thinking on developing my pieces, so I took, and now I'm losing again. Okay, so rook expected. Okay, I could ignore that and play. Yeah, but this is a human move. I think it's okay. But yeah, now f5. I couldn't see anything else apart from taking this bishop. Okay, but that opens the rook. And now I went here, and I imagine knight takes f3 was the best move also. Okay. Anyways, so he went f4, and I could have taken here, but I thought that it wasn't a good move because of queen and I can play rook. Oh my gosh, sacrificing the exchange, but that seems lame. Right? So yeah, I went for something different, which is just creating complications now, because in reality we have we only need to survive 23 seconds, but we're still worse. Okay, so yeah, yeah, rook g6, logical. King f1, only move, and here, be careful, right? I can't really play. Okay, oh, I was seeing some ghost. Anyways, okay, so I played check, just trying to win some time, and then bishop f7 is a blunder. Okay, why? Why is it a blunder? Is it because of f3? Okay, so good luck trying to find f3 though. Okay, so queen e3, and what's the problem? Rook g2, 3 pieces. Attack him. Here, okay, I can take the rook. And then rook takes f2 anyways? What? Okay. And then queen c4. Nah, not a single human would find that. So, not a problem. Okay. So yeah, that line is simply way too difficult to see in just a couple of seconds. Okay, so this is a blunder. And then I took the incorrect rook, but I thought that this was okay. Well, f, again, that's the move, but you will never see that. It's just so difficult. And then queen takes the knight, and now this complicated game is completely winning for white. Yeah, here I was completely relaxed. I am up a minute on the clock. And yeah, finding a plan here for black is not even a thing. All right. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.